I'm going to show you a video right now, and it's made the rounds on social media, Instagram, Facebook, things like that. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. It's a prime example of how women, and men do this too, God knows I get on men about this all the time, but how women have bought into the societal bullshit about long-term monogamy being reasonable and normal and expected in a relationship, and if you're not capable of it, then there is something wrong with you, nothing wrong with her expectations. Let me show you what I mean.
When it comes to second chances, taking someone back after they cheated on you, people have asked me, how do I feel? And what I will say is what's good for me might not be good for you. The type of woman I am, when I'm in a relationship, I'm 10 toes. I'm all in from day one. Because when it's time to leave, I'm not looking back. I've given it my all. There is nothing more for me to do here. The way that my heart is set up, when you betray my trust, you've made your decision, and you've made my decision for me.
I agree with you. So far, I agree. If there's something that a man does in a relationship that you don't like and you have a feeling he'll do it again, then yes, you should dump him and you should not go back to him. I completely agree. Now we're going to talk about why you had to dump him. And I have a feeling this is not the first guy you've had to dump for this reason.
Society would like us to believe that love is pain, and that if you're in a long-term relationship, there are things that will happen and we as women should be tolerant.
Yes. If you want a long-term relationship to last for the long term, then your expectations of human behavior, that would be male behavior if you're a woman, or female behavior if you're a guy, should be within reason. They should be something that is reasonable to expect for a reasonable person to actually carry through on. So if you have expectations that are beyond the ability of the vast majority of human beings, you can't be surprised if and when these things occur in your relationship. And if you're going to say to the world, I will end the relationship as soon as a man does something that I find inappropriate, even though just about any guy I would date would have the same problem, then you are doomed to live a life of long-term, short-term relationships. Relationship breakup, relationship breakup, relationship breakup. Marriage, divorce, relationship breakup, relationship breakup. That's the only option you have if you demand unreasonable behaviors from other human beings in long-term relationships. Now, if all you want are short-term relationships, then great. But it sounds like you want something long-term. That means you need to change your thinking to adjust for that.
Now, forgiveness and tolerance are not the same thing. I don't have to be tolerant of your fucking bullshit.
You're right. You don't have to be tolerant of anything. But the more intolerant you are, the shorter your relationships will end up being. So if you want long-term relationships, and certainly if you want to get married someday, and I assume you do because most women do, then you want something that'll last 20, 25, 30 years or longer, you're going to have to be really fucking tolerant. And if you don't want to be tolerant, that's fine. But again, that means you're choosing lots of short-term relationships for the rest of your life.
What I find comical about men and trying to act like we as women want this perfect guy who doesn't do anything wrong.
That's not true. We just made that up. We just pulled that out of our asses. Women have done nothing to imply or say that they want this perfect guy who does nothing wrong. We just came up with that all on our own, did we? Okay.
We want what you want. We want the same things.
If we wanted the same things, then the vast majority of human beings would marry their high school sweethearts right out of high school and stay married to that person for 40 or 50 or 60 years. If we both wanted the same things. If men and women wanted the exact same things in a relationship, we wouldn't have the divorce rate we have. We wouldn't have the breakups that we have. We wouldn't have the cheating that we have, right?
But the difference is we as women have been conditioned by society to be so fucking desperate for a fucking man that his validation, a ring, anything, being just next to him is worth mistreatment. And I don't agree.
I don't agree either. But when you say society has trained you to be desperate for a man, you need to change that a little bit. Society has trained you to be desperate for marriage. traditional monogamous marriage, which is a system, as we're about to prove, that doesn't really work anymore. And frankly, if you look at it, look at history, look at the statistics, look at the data, it's never really worked. So it's not that you're desperate for a guy. You're a woman. You can get a guy whenever you want. You're desperate for a type of relationship that human beings, including men who are human beings, are not capable of.
And it's not even about agreeing. That's just not how I'm going to orchestrate my reality. Anything I want, I can have because I am the creator of my reality. So I don't need the perfect man. I just need someone that respects me like I respect them. For people who argue and say, oh, well, you can love someone and still cheat on them. Yeah, you can love them, but you're not in love. And a wise man once told me that love is a choice.
Love and sex are two completely different needs located actually in different parts of the brain that have literally nothing to do with each other. The reason you think that love and sex are the same thing, that you can't love someone and have sex with multiple people, the only reason you think that is because that's what you have been told. That's what you've been told by your mom, your dad, your religion, your girlfriends, society, TV, movies. You've been told this since you were a little girl, so now you believe it. Now, what's interesting is these people never sat down and showed you the science or the data or the history backing up what they're saying. They didn't show you any of that. They just pointed their finger at you and said, yes, if you're in love with someone, you can only have sex with that person and you cannot have sex with anyone else because love and sex are the same thing. They're mashed together in one big ball. Although I am sure that if I asked you behind closed doors, away from all of your friends and family, if you've ever had completely meaningless sex with a man you didn't love, and you still enjoyed the sex but you didn't love the guy, you'd probably say yes. But why is that? Because love and sex are two different things. That's the reality. I know you haven't been told that. I know it's hard to hear that, but that's the reality.
It's not a feeling. I mean, that feeling, it goes away. That feeling that's portrayed in movies.
Yes, it does. That's correct. It's called NRE, new relationship energy. That new feeling of joy and euphoria when you start dating someone new is a temporary emotion. And you cannot base your relationship on anything temporary if long-term is what you want. So you cannot make promises during the NRE phase of the relationship, during the honeymoon phase, because you're not thinking clearly during that phase. That phase, that very temporary short phase of a few months, maybe a year on the outside, okay, is very temporary. And so you can't make decisions or commitments or promises during that phase. You have to wait till that phase is over and you're both back to normal and you get back to rationality, and then you can sit down and make commitments. Then they're more likely to make sense. But if you're so excited and your boyfriend is so excited and he says, oh sure, I won't fuck any other women for the rest of my life. And you say, yay, goody. When your reaction should be suspicion, there's a reason you're doing that. It's because you're in NRE, you're in the honeymoon phase, you're not in the actual rational phase. So you're right. You're just not acting on what you know.
But it's the decision that no matter what, my commitment is with you. And there are some people who don't want to get married. There are some people who are not even monogamous, and that's fine. I'm a modern monogamist. So I need another person who is also a modern monogamist.
What does modern monogamist mean? How is being a modern monogamist different than being a monogamist from 100 years ago? Monogamy is kind of a binary thing. You're either monogamous or you aren't. You aren't kind of monogamous, right? If you're with one person and you kind of get sexual with another person, are you monogamous? No. Monogamous is in or you're out. So putting an adjective in front of monogamy is a little interesting. You need to define exactly what that means. A modern monogamist? A modern monogamist, I think, means you're monogamous but you're not married. Okay. That has nothing to do with whether or not you have sex with other people.
I refuse to be treated any old way for a man because I view relationships like a vacation house. Nice to have, but I don't really need. If I'm going to be with someone, I want them to add value to my life. I don't want them to stress me out. There are so many phases that relationships go through.
That's fine, but you need to have realistic expectations for human behavior. And the reason you're stressed out and pissed off, and the reason you've had, I'm sure, multiple relationships that didn't work, is because you're going to date a guy who is a good-looking, alpha male, confident guy with game, and he's going to look at you and say, oh yeah, oh I promise I won't have sex with anyone else except you. If you were rational, your reaction to that would be suspicion. You'd be like, wait, what? No. That would be intelligent. That would be rational. That would be objective. That would be smart. Okay? And you don't do that though. You say, yay, oh good. He's never going to cheat on me because he promised. That's what a lot of women do. And then when he cheats, not if, but when he finally cheats, because he's a man, and that is what he is biologically wired to do, particularly if he is good looking, particularly if he is a confident guy, particularly if he's masculine, particularly if he has a higher income, then you're going to react with shock. But whose fault is that? It's not his. He's doing what he's wired to do. Now, he shouldn't lie. I agree with that. I've been telling men for over 10 years, you should not lie to women and you should not cheat on women. I have never cheated on a woman in my entire life. Not once, because I'm not dumb enough to promise monogamy, because I'm objective and I'm realistic. You are not.
And nobody wants anything perfect. People just want someone who's honest, someone who respects them.
If you want a good-looking, masculine, confident, alpha male type guy, which I'm pretty sure you do, who will never, ever, ever get sexual with any other woman for the rest of his life, just you, then you do want something perfect. You want something that only exists in a Disney fairy tale in your own brain. That does not exist in the real world. And the longer you keep clinging to this fantasy, the harder it's going to be for you. You're going to go through breakup after breakup after breakup after divorce after breakup until maybe finally in your 50s, when you're not beautiful anymore, maybe you'll surrender to the fact that men are wired to do certain things, just like women are wired to do certain things, and to expect something different is stupid.
And I will not be pressured into believing that love is supposed to hurt. Oh, well, if you're going to date this type of guy or any guy in general, be prepared to be cheated on. Well, I'm prepared to leave and I'm on go. I don't have to sit there and take this.
Then you will be leaving men for the rest of your life. I'm not making a joke. I'm not exaggerating. If that is your belief, that I will never tolerate cheating from these masculine alpha males, then you will never, ever, ever have a long-term satisfying relationship or marriage for the rest of your life. You have several other options. You're not going to like any of these, but the other options are you hook up with a guy who can't get laid. You hook up with an extreme pussy beta male who you won't be very attracted to, and the odds are going to be much better that he won't cheat on you. Although even beta males cheat a lot. They're still men, but your odds are much better. Or you can hook up with an alpha male, you can hook up with a good guy, a high SMV guy, a guy who makes more money or what have you, and be tolerant of the fact that he is going to hook up with women on the side and be an adult about it and lay out some ground rules for him instead of reacting with horror and shock when he does something that he is biologically hard-coded in his DNA to do.
Because I know that I'm a force by myself. So when people ask me about second chances and should I take this person back, you have to live with whatever decision you make. It's not about what people think you should or shouldn't do. If I decide to leave, I cannot have any regrets. I have to make sure when I'm ready to leave, I'm leaving. And if I'm going to stay, I'm going to do what's necessary to be able to move forward from whatever.
Do you see how you are right now? Do you see how you're feeling? Do you feel good? Are you happy? Is this making you happy talking about this stuff? Getting pissed off about leaving men when they cheat on you? Remember that feeling the next time you get into the next relationship with the next good-looking alpha male who promises you that he will never fuck another woman. Remember how you feel right now. Remember the last 2, 3, 4, 5 times men have cheated on you because your expectations were too high. Now let me say this again. Men should not lie to women. Men should not cheat on women. Instead, what men should do is sit down and have a little talk with women, which is what I do, and say, look, I love you. I want to be with you. I don't want to date anyone else. I just want to be with you, and I'm a man. And I'm going to go off and do certain things at certain times, and I'm not going to lie to you about it because I don't need to lie to you because I'm an alpha male 2.0, but I am happy to submit to certain ground rules that make you a little more comfortable, so you'll hate it a little less, but at least that is reasonable. Now you're dating someone who is honest, you're dating someone who is an adult, and your expectations aren't some Disney fantasy fairy tale, which will never ever happen. So now your odds of success are much better. They're still not 100%, they're not perfect. It could still fail, sure. But your odds of success are way better than expecting men to act like angels.
I would not disrespect someone that I love. Oh, you're not a rider. Oh, you don't really care about me. You just ready to up and leave whenever. Yeah.
That's good. You should leave. I said that earlier. Great. Leave. Just remember, you're going to do a lot of leaving for the rest of your life.
If you ask any man, if a woman were to cheat on you that you were with, what would you do? All of them say leave.
They're lying. Men will put up with all kinds of crap. Statistically speaking, women leave men. Okay? 3/4 of all girlfriend-boyfriend relationships are ended by the woman. 70 to 80% of all divorces are initiated by the woman. So yeah, unfortunately, I know men say, oh, I dumped that bitch, that they're wrong. They'll just get really, really mad and put up with it. They don't want her to leave. So they're lying.
Very few stay. But we as women, it's almost like if we don't stay, we don't love them.
No, it's not that you don't love them. It's that you have unreasonable expectations for human behavior.
It's not that I don't love you. I just love me more.
If you love yourself, then you value your long-term future happiness. Long-term happiness. This will never happen if you expect human beings to act like creatures other than human beings. The only way you have a shot at having long-term happiness, which is a true sign of self-love, you're going to have to be reasonable and rational. I know you don't want to be, but reasonable and rational about what human beings are actually capable of and what they are not. Otherwise, you will never be happy, and it doesn't matter how much you love you.